So today I want to talk about the current state of Assassin's Creed in 2022. I know this is a bit weird because I haven't really made videos like these yet, but I wanted to talk about, Assassin's Creed, and because I have nothing better to do, I decided, you know what, let's hit record and discuss the situation of Assassin's Creed in 2022. So if you've been following the series for a long time, you know that at the moment the fans are divided, and with with the recent games, especially with Valhalla, Odyssey, and not exactly Origins. I mean, the thing with Origins is a lot of people still think that it's the perfect Assassin's Creed game, like perfect blend of the RPG and the older formula. But that's not correct, obviously. But you know what? Whatever. People can have their own opinions. I will find them and kill them later. Anyway, so with Valhalla, especially, not necessarily with the Origins, but Origins or Odyssey, but with Valhalla is where we actually saw the fan base divide even more. With Odyssey, it was more like you have people that like Origins, or you have people that like Odyssey, and that was it. Um, and with Valhalla, you have people that like Valhalla and like the newer formula. You have people that like Valhalla and like the older games, and you have people that hate Valhalla and love the older games. And you also have people that hate Valhalla, hate the older games, but like Odyssey. So it's the fan base is suffice to say kind of a bit on the this side, but especially with all the post launch that's been coming out for Valhalla, which has been not exactly the best. Um, I mean, Wrath of the Druids was all right, uh, but you could tell with Wrath of the Druids, and even with well, not exactly Siege of Paris, but with Druids, you could tell that the DLC was marketed as more of a sort of mythical DLC, but the actual point of the DLC wasn't that. And you see this trend with Valhalla, that they really try to bring in as many people as they can. So with Druids, they try to appeal to the fantasy element, even though the DLC actually wasn't really about that. And then with Paris, Siege of Paris, they tried to appeal more to the older AC fans, the people that like just the Assassin's Creed elements, the assassin element specifically, and Paris was supposed to be the DLC that sort of brought us back to the whole like older gameplay style, black box missions, and Eivor would become an assassin and stuff, right? And obviously none of that happened, and Siege of Paris was not related to anything at all in Eivor's story, in anything really. I mean, you could say the same about Druids, but the point I'm trying to make here with the post-launch of Valhalla is that they try to draw in as many people as they can, and that's fine. I mean, it's Ubisoft is a business. What people don't understand is, oh, why not just make an IP, separate IP, where you have the RPG stuff, and leave AC the way it was. But you can't. That's stupid, really. If you think about it from a business perspective, which Ubisoft is, do you think Yves Guillemot sits up there and thinks about, you know what, Ezio should have done. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Yes. Do you think do you think he sits up there, right, and thinks, yeah, you know what, we should have all the sanctuary assassins. We should have all of them in future games. No, he doesn't. He doesn't think about that. He doesn't think about anything, right? His job is to make money. His job isn't to make people happy. I mean, kind of like it's complicated. But the point that I'm trying to make here is, with Valhalla's post-launch, right? The, it's been such a mess that you have Druids, which was marketed as a fantasy DLC, which it wasn't, and you had Siege of Paris, which was supposed to be the assassin DLC, which it wasn't. You had Dawn of Ragnarok, which was supposed to be the DLC about, like Odin saving his son and stuff, whatever. the prelude to Ragnarok, but it um it was a mess. I mean, Dawn of Ragnarok was so irrelevant to the lore of the series that it drives me crazy that they actually made it. And the weird thing is, it breaks. It doesn't follow the lore that the main game set up. Like, forget about the whole series, whatever, right? The fact that Baldur, this is a spoiler for Dawn of Ragnarok, I doubt anyone cares, but in case you do, Baldur is Odin's son, okay? And he was killed essentially, by Loki. You know that because, I mean, if you listen to the Animus Anomalies, right? Loki mentions that mistletoe, that was the only thing that could kill Baldur. Obviously, in Dawn of Ragnarok, Loki is nowhere to be seen. He's mentioned in the end by Juno. And that's it, the DLC ends. And I didn't think they could make a more irrelevant DLC than Siege of Paris. But they did. Now, the point that I was trying to make, which I keep getting sidetracked, but the point that I'm trying to make with this is you have all these DLCs and all this post-launch, and then you have the river raids, you have the festivals, you have the mastery challenges, you have the Tombs of the Fallen, and you have all these different things to try to bring in different types of people in to play the game more. And that sort of messes with the identity of the main game, right? You have the river raids where Eivor's like, yeah, you know what, screw all my alliances, I'm gonna go raid everyone. And then you have, what is it? Yeah, the mastery challenges, which I don't even want to talk about. You have the Tombs of the Fallen, which I don't even want to talk about. Also, one more thing that I just remembered, in Dawn of Ragnarok, they mentioned that there was a race before the Isu that existed, or yeah, something like that. An ancient race. Now, the Isu, they are the ancients. So how is there a race before them? Now you might think, right? I mean, yeah, that's fine because at least it's like they're it's world building. But like 15 years into the franchise, you reveal something this big. I mean, what? Now, the thing with Assassin's Creed in 2022 is you have so many different types of the audience is so divided, the fan base, that the next game that comes out, which is supposed to be Assassin's Creed Rift, the Basim game, which started out as a DLC for Valhalla. This game is gonna it's in a weird spot because as I said, you have 4 or 5 different types of people that like Valhalla, and I mean, how will Rift make any sense at all in the grand scheme of things? You have this irrelevant, you have this game that no one asked for. I mean, sure, people said, we want an assassin game, okay, and hey, we got an assassin. We're getting an assassin game apparently with Rift. But the problem is, it's gonna play the same as Valhalla. So the people that think that it's gonna be better, it's not gonna be better. Sure, you might have a story that's more focused around assassins and Templars, but the thing is, and there are people that sort of asked for a more assassin focused game. You might think, all right, this is good because this pleases them. Except Assassin's Creed fans are not that simple, unfortunately, because even if Ubisoft goes out of the way to make an Assassin's Creed game, like a proper assassin game, then people will still be unhappy because they're doing it because this other stuff wasn't making them money, or they're doing it to please the fans. I mean, yeah, that's kind of why you make games. I don't understand the whole argument behind that. Now, the DLC and the post-launch and everything that just keeps coming out for Valhalla was, honestly, it took away so much from the main game. I know so many people that loved the main game, but then with the post-launch, they just got so turned off from the game, and I don't blame them. That doesn't mean the base game is bad. I see a lot of people's, they sort of relate the base game and the DLCs. That's kind of stupid. I mean, it's not really stupid. I mean, you still technically, you're still paying for all of these things to play them, so they should be good. But the main game is the only thing that I think worth buying. If you haven't bought the game or if you haven't played the game, the main game is the only thing worth playing. And with the fan base so divided, especially, I don't. There's no one out there that really publicly sort of has discussed this game and looked over, what is done great and what is done, not so great. What most people point out is, oh, all this stuff is irrelevant. It's a what is it? A wiki entry. The whole game is a wiki entry. Every game is a wiki entry. So that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, you could go to the Assassin's Creed wiki, you could read through all the details of every single game, and you could say, "Oh yeah, now I know the game. I don't need to know anything else." That's not how it works. So if you're gonna play Assassin's Creed Origins, you might as well play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's weird to call one thing bad and one thing good when they're essentially not so different. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Origins are different in a way that most people don't really understand. So people see Origins as the sort of perfect RPG and older AC style mix, but that's not true. Valhalla is the game that tries to sort of mix the older style and the newer style. Sure, you might say, oh yeah, social stuff was in Valhalla, but it wasn't that good. It kind of is when in the areas that it's supposed to be in. It works, and it's good. I don't understand the argument behind that. Yes, I know the stealth was broken for a long time, which yes, that's terrible. But when the game works, which it does work, because let's face it, if you're gonna give Unity a second chance, why can't this game get a second chance? So it's very hypocritical when people say, "Oh, Unity is the best Assassin's Creed game because it had the best sort of assassin elements and stuff," but it didn't. I mean, Assassin's Creed is not just about being an assassin, but that's not the point of this video. So I'm not going to go over that whole thing. The point of this is, in 2022, the fans are so divided that with Rift and then with Infinity coming out after that, Infinity, I'm not even going to call that a game because it's more of like a service or like a hub. A hub where you access different sort of experiences, different Assassin's Creed stories, and stuff like that. So Infinity, okay, fine. If we're gonna call Infinity Year One as the first like game or whatever. So the first, Infinity Year One, then, for example, is gonna be focused on like a certain aspect. For example, let's say we had Valhalla, which was the Viking game. You had Rift, which is the Middle East, the Baghdad game, and then you have the first year of Infinity, or the first experience or first game of Infinity, and that's going to be based on a certain other thing. And with Derby and Ubisoft Quebec and Montreal working on this, I don't really know how the power dynamics work at Ubisoft. I don't know if Montreal is going to have more of a say in the narrative side and gameplay side, or Quebec, because Quebec is the leading team, and you might think, oh yeah, of course, they have, you might think Quebec is the more, it's the leading team, so it's going to be spearheading all these things. But then why do you have Darby McDevitt and Clint Hawking at Montreal and not Quebec? I don't know. Anyway, so with the fan base so divided and Rift supposedly coming out, allegedly this year end or maybe early next year, what is the state of Assassin's Creed in 2022? Well, it's oh god, it's like with Origins. When Origins came out, the community was just it was such a good time to be part of the community. Despite the fact that Loomer had already, he'd already mentioned a while before Origins came out that, something doesn't seem right. I mean, with Origins, there's no social stuff. How is this an Assassin's Creed game? Origins, I think, people just wanted something new, and they were happy to see something new, even if it barely resembled, what Assassin's Creed was. And it only hit us with Odyssey and Valhalla that this isn't like the older games. But Valhalla does try to fit in with both the newer and older crowd. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, with every future game that's going to come out, right? They're gonna appeal to as many people as they want, as many people as they can. Now, people say Assassin's Creed is not about the historical, you know, it's not a history game, but that's what it is. No one that's been the sort of point, right? No one said, oh, no one said I want a game set in. Uh, the point is the historical settings. This is what sells. For example, Assassin's Creed has to be in Egypt. They made Origins. Assassin's Creed has to be in the golden age of piracy. They made Black Flag. All these games, right? If you look at, maybe Assassin's Creed 1 is not as relevant because not everyone probably knows about the Crusades, but the Italian Renaissance, the American Revolution, the golden age of piracy, the 7 Years' War, the French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, the ancient Egypt, the Ptolemaic era, and everything. All these settings. Assassin's Creed has always been a history game. The settings are what sell. And then it's not like you wake up and think, you know what, I want to live the experience of Ezio. No, you buy Assassin's Creed 2 in 2009 because you want to play this Italian Renaissance game where you're an assassin or whatever. That's not the point. You buy it for the setting. And they're going to try to appeal to as many people as they can with different settings. And obviously the fan base, their reaction will depend, because the vocal majority so far are leaning more towards Origins. And even though I have my thoughts on those, which I won't talk about today because that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is the fan base is incredibly divided. No matter what Ubisoft does, their future looks, Assassin's Creed future looks very uncertain to me. I'm not saying this series is going to stop anytime soon. That's definitely not going to happen, especially with the fact that we're getting Rift and Infinity. So it's not stopping anytime soon. If you have any hopes of, I want to get to the end of the series already, well, good luck, buddy. We're not getting there yet. And yeah, so it's sort of it's hard to be an AC fan in 2022 because you really don't know what's coming. Like it's such the next game, the Rift, could ruin it could ruin everything that Valhalla set up, or it could make Valhalla better. We don't know. Only time can tell, because from what I've heard, from the rumors that I've heard, I am very concerned. And I am very concerned about Infinity as well, because despite the fact that Darby McDevitt and Clint Hawking are working on these games or whatever, I'm not sure if they're working on all of Infinity. I don't know what's going on with Infinity. No one knows, not yet, but soon we'll see. But until then, what we know about Rift, at least, leads me to believe that we're heading towards an uncertain future, and the fan base is going to get even more crazy once Rift comes out, because this was the Assassin's game you were asking for. But you know what? They're not going to be happy, because there's going to be something that's bothering them, and some people might say, oh, this is better than Valhalla, even if it possibly isn't. I can't say, you can't say it, only time will tell. And time is what's running out, because the Rift reveal, which is hopefully coming in September, should tell us more about what to expect from Assassin's Creed in the future, and maybe a teaser of Infinity. I don't really know what's coming, but let's see, let's hope. Apart from that, all I can think of is we're all doomed. This is the worst franchise to be a fan of, but we're all stuck in this. So if I'm suffering, you're all suffering too. So yeah.